I'm going to take you on a visual tour through some of my favorite GPose locations in Final Fantasy XIV. These are all of the places that just keep pulling me back, places that capture light and mood in ways that screenshots can barely do justice. Whether you're into dark and gothic, bright and whimsical, or just scenic perfection, there's something here for you that you might not have considered. So let's start with the simple, the Grand Cosmos. So this is a pretty interesting instance. I use this as kind of like my studio, especially the middle section in the courtyard. It is the second to last teleport and explorer mode. It's kind of like my canvas when I need the perfect lighting that never changes. It's my go-to spot when I'm doing my video showcases. The natural light is even, clean, and reliable. It doesn't shift with the time of day, meaning that your shadows and highlights always look exactly how you want them to, and there's consistency between shots. There's something elegant about the architecture in here as well. There's some really good shots inside the actual building. Soft marble tones, faint reflections off of tiles and walls, and a regal atmosphere without being overly busy. It's definitely got that regal feeling as well, so if you wanted something a little bit stately or important, this is quite a nice backdrop for that. The second place I want to take you is St. Mocianne's Arboretum. The very air here glows with its own pulse. You've got these pockets of bioluminescent flora that make the dungeon feel like a living, breathing terrarium. It's darker, but not oppressive. The light seems to come from the plants themselves, casting this soft green and blue glow that dances off the water and vines within. It is a real nature meets sort of ancient architecture sort of vibe in here. If you're going for something tranquil, ancient themed, or even a little bit eerie sometimes, this is a dream. Every screenshot feels like you've stepped straight into an alien jungle. And it's all about lighting in here. If you can mess around with the filters enough to make the lighting pop, you can get some really good shots. Moving on to the Gold Leaf Deas in the East Shroud. So if we head far northeast in the East Shroud, you'll find the Gold Leaf Deas. This is Eorzea's own slice of Pandora, in my opinion. It's got giant glowing spores floating in the air, strange plants sway back and forth as if they're breathing, and everything hums with this sort of quiet bioluminescent energy. Much like St. Mocianne's Arboretum, this gives you another option if you want something more mushroomy. It's an Avatar-esque dreamscape. It's alive, alien, but also quite peaceful. If you're shooting something magical, druidic maybe, or connected to nature in any way, this feels like it was sort of built for that, and it's a really nice part of the Shroud. In striking contrast then, I'm going to take you to The Burn, a dungeon that was added in Stormblood. This is a stark contrast to everything we've shown so far. It's basically a wasteland of ash and pale sand where the light feels almost sterile. There's no greenery, no comfort, just wind, emptiness, and endless horizons, which make for great backdrops. And that's exactly why it's so beautiful to me, because here color becomes more powerful. Any glamour that you wear, even if it's got subtle colors, all the way up to bright reds, blues, and golds, those will explode on screen against that white backdrop. It's cinematic minimalism at its best. I like to think of it as the perfect photography studio for desolation. If you want a glamour to pop amongst something, you want to have the most sterile but also detailed background, so it's not just a white backdrop. It has some detail to it, and the terrain is quite interesting as well. It's not necessarily flat, there's plenty of detail, and I personally love the backdrop of sand dunes in the horizon, and I really think that can make some really interesting landscape shots. Moving to the Doman Enclave then, once you've restored this, the Doman Enclave is a love letter to peace. Lanterns glow gently in the evening, cherry blossoms drift through the air in this exact location, and the soft hum of water fills the background. It's perfect for your romantic, festival-themed, or anime-style shots, especially if you're wearing a yukata or a kimono on your character. Every corner feels like a moment from a Ghibli film in this area, and the lighting during dusk is pure magic. when all the lanterns pop on. It is a very nice place to take pictures, and I have used it very often, especially when something is added to the game that is more Eastern themed. Like we've got the Eastern ladies and lords sets, things like that. They really do work in a location like this. The only other place that really gets the same vibe are parts of Kugane itself, but if you want something a little bit different that kind of looks like a tea house, this is the perfect shot for you. And then moving in contrast again, another place that absolutely blew me away, like many others probably, is the Amaurotine view in the Tempest, deep under the ocean. So in Shadowbringers, this thing was just breathtaking when I first saw it. You stand there looking out over a drowned city, a fragment of a not-so-alien past for your character, colossal towers shimmering through the mist, the faint hum of ancient magic in the air, and that sort of lights on in buildings. It's tragic and magnificent at the same time. It's a perfect place if you want to capture that mood, maybe an Asian glamour or something dramatic, even heroic. The entire scene feels like it's holding its breath, and if you want to ever show the back of your character, it would make sense that your character would be looking out on this. You could have that moody backdrop and your character stood on the precipice, trying to take in everything that they witness. It is such a fantastic part of the storyline of Shadowbringers, from a fantastic expansion, and what a view, oh my goodness. So let's move straight over to another contrast, Doman and the Pixie Realm. So firstly, Doman is just pure fun. Everything within this dungeon just pops. The colors, the reflections, the over-the-top whimsy, but it's actually kind of sort of balanced a little bit. It's taken back a bit. It's sort of perfect for dancer or any sort of performer-esque glamours that you've got. If you want to capture limit breaks from your dancer, there's a swathe of nature in the background with fields full of flowers. The lighting is great, even if it's in day or at night. And if you want the pixie dial to be turned all the way to 11, all you need to do is the Pixie Beast tribe. If you do those, you will unlock a separate instance that you can access via a door symbol on the map. This place here is filled with slides, stalls, rainbows everywhere. Even the skybox looks like it's, edible. It is incredibly sugar high, right? This is the perfect place to show off rave glamours, anything that's got pinks or bright blues or any pastel colors. It is the perfect backdrop for that. So with the Pixies, you've got Doman with a more subtle kind of nature theme, that side of the Pixies, and then you've got the instance which is just full of pink basically, and rainbows and cookies and madness. I love this place. It's so good for stuff like Hansel and Gretel themed sort of pictures, Oktoberfest pictures, that kind of thing. Something that's just, it pops, and anything you put on the screen will just be completely consumed by the background. It's really cool, actually. I love this place. St. Raymond's Cathedral, I probably said that wrong, in Ishgard, in the Pillars of Ishgard. This is the Scholasticate related room, so if you do the Scholasticate storyline in Ishgard, you'll eventually get taken to this. It's tucked inside the cathedral itself through the left-hand door when you go inside. It's one of the game's hidden gems, and this is the Scholasticate classroom. There's rows of desks, a chalkboard at the top, bookcases. It's an academic dream come true, so if you're looking for school-themed screenshots or roleplay scenes, this is the perfect place to go. The lighting here has that kind of quiet, dusty glow, like the place is musty, the dusty, musty sort of book smell, like a late afternoon in an old library. And of course, you could toggle off the NPCs if they're standing in your place, but they're also quite useful because they're wearing academic garb, so it doesn't look too out of place unless you're trying to take pictures of a more modern outfit like the Collegiate set, for example, where you'd probably want to turn those off, and then focus on your character with the backdrop of the actual chalkboard, that kind of thing. But yeah, a little slice of academia amidst the snow, and probably one of the only places in the game where there's like teaching being shown off. There's not many places like this. There's one in a Doman enclave, but that's kind of obviously a Hingan themed school experience with floor seating and things like that. And this is obviously more of a Western themed school sort of environment. So that's pretty cool. So let's move on to something else then, the royal city of Lasalia. So obviously originally from Final Fantasy Tactics, a lot of rich storyline for this then, but this is in the royal city of Rabanasta raid with the Iblis Alliance Raid series that came out a long time ago. Inside the royal city of Rabanasta, you'll eventually find yourself in the Lasalia Garden Ruins. This, quite frankly, is a jaw-dropping callback to Final Fantasy Tactics. The overgrown stone, the crumbled towers, the quiet majesty of the place. It's one of the most atmospheric places in the game. Sadly, there still is no explorer mode for Alliance raids, which is absolutely criminal. So you will actually have to clear it first and then /return to go back to the start of the instance to wander freely, but it's worth every step in my opinion if you want to take shots in here. I do think that Alliance raids really badly need explorer mode to be unlocked once you've completed it for the first time. It's something that's, in my opinion, a no-brainer. I'm really not sure why they haven't done it. Regardless, this is one of my favorite places to go. I love the Ivalice world. I love both Tactics and Final Fantasy XII and, the surrounding lore with those games. And yeah, if you want to go in there with one of the new glams, for example, it will feel right at home with the fantastic backdrops. So yeah, I absolutely love this. But again, we do need an Alliance raid explorer mode. That is something that we should definitely push for in the GPose community. Moving on then to another place that I like to take pictures, the Vault. Now, if you're a Dark Souls fan, the Vault basically feels like Anor Londo. It's got the soaring arches, stained glass windows, beams of divine light cutting through shadow. It's Gothic architecture in all of its glory, pointed arches, ribbed vaults, flying buttresses. Everything about it just screams solemn majesty in the name of a god. If you're shooting something knightly, holy, or tragic, the Vault is absolute perfection. I have taken so many pictures over the years in this area, and yeah, I love it. I visit it quite often. The lighting is exceptional. It's just a really well-designed dungeon. The first time you do it, it scars you, and then when you do eventually go back, you start to realize in Explorer mode how good this is for pictures. If you come up with like a night glam, something like that, which there is a lot more items in the game to allow you to do that than anything else. It's kind of like the perfect backdrop. It's either this or you go to somewhere like the Dusk Vigil, which is the complete opposite of this, filled with ice. It's clear that the kingdom has fallen. This particular dungeon is filled with frost, but it's very much the same kind of feel, like architecturally. So you've got a good balance between the two if you want to. So since it's spooky season right now at the time of recording this video, one of the places I like to go is this lonely shack over in the Fringes down by the Dimwald. You go here as part of the quest series for Stormblood, but when the fog rolls in and it's nighttime, the whole forest transforms into a horror movie set. Thick mist is curling around dead trees, eerie silence, just the creaks and cracks of wood in the background. The shack itself, it's abandoned, but it's actually furnished as well, making it pretty good for RP setups if you want somewhere that's furnished but empty of NPCs. It's just a really great place, especially on the outside with the mist, if you want that kind of creepy sort of backdrop to maybe have your character in a Halloween glam or something like that. It's pretty great. And considering it's not guaranteed that we will always get the built-in Halloween set for the All Saints Wake event, it's a cool idea to maybe think of some other places that are creepy. And this is definitely the one that I would go to. I love that idea of that lonely cabin in the woods with the mist. It's so cool. And that's just a handful of the hundreds of amazing screenshot spots across Final Fantasy XIV that I use and you might use. What about you? You might be taking pictures. Where do you go when you want to capture something special? You can share your ideas below, or you can even post your own screenshots over in my Discord, which is also linked in the description of the video. I'd love to see what you come up with. It's so fun to see what other people get from this game visually, and a lot of you take some incredibly cool screenshots. So anyway, I look forward to seeing those. Thank you so much for watching. Much love, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.